Okay, video 6 is about equivalent fractions. We've talked about this a little bit before in class, so this is just a little bit more formal presentation. What exactly is the definition of an equivalent fraction? Well, equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value but different equal parts, and that's the key. Their value is the same, but their parts are different sizes. Think of it as eating the same amount of pizza, just different size slices. Remember, when you see things in red, those are things that get put in your notes. How do you make equivalent fractions? Well, it's super easy. All you do is you multiply or you divide the numerator, which is the top number, north, remember, numerator north, and the denominator, which is your down number, D down, by the same number. It can be any number as long as you multiply the top and bottom by the same. Let's take a look at some equivalent fractions. This is 1/2. It's 2 pieces and we have 1 shaded. This represents 2/4, 4 pieces, 2 of them are shaded. In this picture, we get 1 big slice of pizza. In this picture, we get 2 smaller slices of pizza. But if you notice, they take up the same amount. So they're equivalent. 1 slice here, 2 slices here, but they represent the same amount of pizza. So that means 1/2 and 2/4 are equal because they take up the same size. Okay, now I want you to kind of do some building. Now these should look familiar. We have all these. We just have them in a different color. Use your fraction strips, build, draw, color, and put the following fractions in order from least to greatest. 1/2, 5/6, 3/12, and 1/9. So what I want you to do is to build these fractions, draw them and color them on your paper in the correct order. So go ahead and hit pause while you do that. Hit play when you're done and we'll see if you did it right. Okay, if you built them, it should have looked like this. And when you put them in order, 1/9 is the smallest because it takes up the least amount of space. 3/12 is the next smallest because it's the next shortest one. Then 1/2, and finally the biggest one is 5/6. So if you were to put them in order, it'd be 1/9, 3/12, 1/2, 5/6. So this should be drawn and colored on your paper. Now, one of the other things you should be able to notice here is 1/2 is also equal to 3/6. So if I got rid of this one and this one, do you see how these line up perfectly? So 1/2 and 3/6 are equivalent fractions because they're equal, they take up the same amount of space. So how do you make equivalent fractions? You multiply or divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. Remember, it can be any number as long as you multiply the top and bottom by the same. So if you look here, we want to find 2 fractions that are equivalent to 1/3, equal to 1/3. You can build it if you want, but sometimes that's not always easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the top and bottom by 2. So remember, you can pick any number you want. I just picked 2 because it's easy to multiply with. As long as I multiply the top number by 2 and the bottom number by 2, I'm always going to get an equivalent fraction. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So my new fraction is 2/6. Now, let's prove that they're equal. Is 1/3 equal to 2/6? Are they equal? Do they take up the same amount of space? Yep, you got it. If you said yes, you did a great job. All right, let's try another one. Because remember I said I needed 2 fractions. So I know 1/3 is going to be equal to 2/6, so let's find another one. Okay, now I multiplied the top and bottom by the number 3. Again, you can pick any number you want. If you wanted to use 100, you could. I just picked 3 because it's easy to work with. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. The top and bottom have to be multiplied or divided by the same exact number. So let's prove 3/9 is equal to 1/3. Here's 1/3. Here's 3/9. Are they equal? Do they take up the same amount of space? You got it, they are. Because they take up the same amount of space, they're equal. That means 1/3, 2/6, and 3/9 are all equivalent or equal fractions. Okay, now I want you to create, draw, and color the following fractions and determine whether they are less than, greater than, or equal to. So the 2 fractions I want you to build, draw, and color are 1/3 and 2/6. Go ahead and do that, hit pause, and when you come back, we'll check to see if you're right. So if you built your fractions, they should look like this: 1/3, 2/6. And they are equal. Why? Because they take up the same amount of space. Another word for equal is equivalent. You're right, you got it. Okay, now go ahead and build 2/5 and 3/8. Hit pause, build it, draw it, color it, and tell me whether they're less than, greater than, or equal to each other. Okay, you should have got something like this: 2/5 and 3/8. 2/5 is just a little bit bigger than 3/8. Not much, but a little bit. So 2/5 is greater than 3/8. Okay, that's it on equivalent fractions. We did a little bit of comparing and ordering in there, so I hope you find fractions as easy as I do. See you guys in class. Don't forget to do the quiz on next on